Hi, everyone. Live from my backyard. I am here with Evan Potter, who's a professor of communications at the University of Ottawa and the author of the Substack City Politics. And we are both looking at the municipal election this year in Ottawa, which takes place on October 26th, right? I'm going to
Yep.
try with getting the facts straight. Hi, Evan. How you doing?
Pleasure to see you, Brigitte, and great to be here with you, and look forward to discussing all things election with you.
What I really want us to do, because both of us, we're a little bit obsessed. Like most normal people are not like us, which is fine.
That's fine.
So we look at this in granular detail. And what I'm hoping to do with this video series, which will, try to keep it mostly regular most of the campaign, is to help people think about the campaign, right? Both of us are like looking at every detail, but I'd like us to try sometimes and pull back a little bit
Don't
and have it
understand.
like
30,000
a
feet.
exactly, and
Yeah.
how we think about those issues, because you and I both have opinions. We're
Yes.
transparent about we're good with that, but most people may not agree with us, and I still would like them to find some use in our discussion. So with that out of the
Sure.
way, and my little disclaimer there, I'd
Yeah,
like us to
I have a disclaimer of my own. As I
go for
say
it.
in my Substack, I'm not a disinterested observer.
Right,
That,
exactly.
that I have opinions and I have preferences, and this isn't an academic exercise for me. So it's a commentary, it's opinion,
Right.
based on facts as I interpret them and as I understand them. But
And
and I in my first Substack message way back in August now, last August, I actually put my political affiliation right in the
mhm.
Substack. I said,
Yeah,
I'm kind of a liberal, and sometimes I voted NDP, and probably could be convinced to vote, the old progressive conservative, but that's kind of where I am, kind of centrist, and
yeah.
so that's what I just made clear to the people reading my stuff.
That's right. And I think people appreciate that, because there's no such thing as people being objective. Nobody is really objective. We all come with opinions. We all come
Right.
with preconceived ideas. So I always aim to be transparent and honest, and people can make up their own minds, because
Yeah.
our viewers and readers are smart people, and they
Yeah.
can decide for themselves how they see and how they see what we have to say to them about that.
Sure.
So with all that out of the way,
Yeah.
the campaign is a couple of depends when you start to count, but it's a few. It's still pretty new. What are your observations so far?
Well, I think. Well, I've been observing it. I think the way I look at this world is that we're all in a permanent political campaign, and that's at all levels of government. So municipal, even though municipal is supposed to be nonpartisan, we're still in a permanent campaign at the municipal, provincial, and federal levels. And so that's why I started my Substack last August, well before the official campaign start on May 1st of this year. And so I've been tracking it for the last 6 months, and or last 9 months, and I think it's two things strike me. Number one, I'm wondering how many candidates that we're actually going to get, come
You think still
September. How many
for mayor?
candidates will for both the ward
Okay,
races
yeah.
and for the mayor also. I wouldn't be shocked if for the mayor's race that we end up with the current four candidates, quote unquote,
Hmm.
four serious candidates, after Labor Day. And so I wouldn't be shocked to see that. Kind of, I'm not saying it's going to be a replay of 2006 or anything like that, but I know people have been kind of suggesting that. And at the ward level, I have said so in my previous commentary. I don't think there will be a lot of change on council. I think maybe two open ward races, and maybe one challenger will unseat a current incumbent councillor.
You're thinking
So
of Canada. You're thinking of Aaron, right?
I'm thinking of
In
Aaron Coffin
That's right.
in Canada South,
That's right.
and I am thinking that if almost every councillor who has decided to go for re-election will get re-elected. So there
We're
might be.
not a we're not an excitable crowd in Ottawa. Like we tend to keep things steady.
I
That's
think
why
we.
incumbency has such is
I
so valuable in
I think
politics.
incumbency is the key. I
Hmm.
think unless there is a
Right.
real scandal associated with a member of council,
Hmm.
when I say a real scandal, it really has to break through a threshold where it's
Hmm.
just an outrage and people just say, stop, no.
Hmm.
Otherwise, if you're an incumbent councillor, not everybody has to love you in your ward. You're going to get reelected.
Yeah, I don't even think Matt Luloff's DUI is going to necessarily tip the scales there.
The
And
people who liked Matt Luloff before are going to continue to like Matt
hmm.
Luloff, and if he and then it really is depends on the strength of his challengers and how many challengers there are
Right.
in his ward.
Yeah, it's all math in the end. Let's talk about the mayor's race a little bit
Sure.
because I want us to. I'd like to give people a sense of like how we're thinking about this as we observe things.
Yes.
I've said, and I've said this to Mark Sutcliffe's face last year,
Yes.
that to me the biggest issue is mobility, transportation. I think the people of Ottawa, whether they drive, they take the bike is easier because you control more of it. But if you take transit or drive, most people take longer to get to where they're going than what they feel like they should
What they
take,
feel like.
right?
Yeah.
And I don't think he's addressing that. And I think that's going to cost him. I think this could even potentially, maybe, cost him the mayor's seat. So,
Yeah.
I'd like to see if you have any bigger issues than
No,
transportation,
I think there are two
because it's not
issues.
just transit; it's
No, no.
transportation. It's everyone.
I think there are two issues. I think that the top two, and we'll find out through the polling which top two issues dominate the issue sets of what's
Hmm.
important to the
Hmm.
people in Ottawa. But the top will be transit. So they divide it. I mean, when Liaison Strategies does its polling, it says transit and congestion, and that's an
Hmm.
interesting division. But together, I think they will continue to dominate the agenda. And then come the taxes. And we'll have separate discussions, I'm sure, about taxes. But this is kind of right out of the playbook of Jim Watson, the former mayor,
Hmm.
is about setting your taxes artificially low. And Ottawa
Hmm.
has artificially low taxes. We can't address our infrastructure budget at this tax level, right?
Hmm.
And
That's right.
so the playbook from Jim Watson is always lead your messaging with low taxes because that appeals to single issue voters in the suburbs. And the conventional wisdom is that in an amalgamated city, the person winning the mayoralty wins it through the outer
Hmm.
suburbs. That's the
Right.
conventional wisdom. And these people, the many hundreds of thousands of people in Ottawa's inner outer suburbs and rural wards, that they are going to be responding to the low tax message.
Hmm.
So
And I see no sign that Mark Sutcliffe is not using that
he's
strategy.
absolutely
And he'd
using
be
that.
stupid not to. Like
That-
this worked for him once, and it
and
may work for him
it
twice.
may
So
work for him again. So
right.
I think that is so definitely congestion and uh,
Low taxes.
transit will be
Right.
top.
Hmm.
Is he going to? Well, I think I have to say that. Sorry, I have to say that he is. He was wobbly. He had a wobbly start to his campaign.
Hmm.
One of the reasons it was wobbly was that there's a perception that he is not taking ownership of the transit issue and that he blamed directly the previous council. And what surprised, Brigitte, a lot of observers is that 10, 12 members of his current council were on the Watson 2022, the 18 to 22 council.
Right.
And so what's that message to those people?
But he said he used the word toxic too. Toxic and dysfunctional. That's what he said.
Right.
His original like vote for me pitch was vote for me. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but not that much. Vote for me because the council before us was dysfunctional and toxic.
Right. And so
And that's not a great sales pitch.
it's not a great response. And I've been
Hmm.
very surprised because the mayor has, grown more comfortable in his shoes as mayor over the last 4 years. It's obvious, more confident. And so what surprised me and many others is that he stumbles on the messaging like
Hmm.
that. Because typically he can win without blaming the previous
Right.
council,
That was
and
not necessary.
it's not
Exactly.
necessary. So these are kind of Mark Sutcliffe own goals. And what's surprising to people is that he is a very proficient communicator,
Hmm.
broadcaster, and he's making these early communication stumbles. So
Hmm. We'll see what that goes very quickly, because
sure.
I will want us to do this more often so that we can focus on specific
Yeah.
and the other guys as well. But Alex Lawson came out with a video on Instagram that led to at least one big news
Sure.
story that I saw on CBC that I'll link, and we'll link to this.
Sure.
But raising questions about somebody who used to be on Mark Sutcliffe's campaign last time,
Yeah.
who then is working for a communications firm or a firm that works for clients, and there's allegations of impropriety, let's call it that, or when it comes to lobbying the mayor's office on behalf of certain private clients. And I think I've read through the whole thing that Alex Lawson has on
Yeah.
his website. It's and I'll link to it too, so people can go and read it if they want to. To me, and I'm not a lobbying expert.
Mhm.
It seems like he's stretching things a little bit. But is it a good idea to throw like is in the spirit of like, let's throw whatever mud we have and see what sticks?
Mhm.
As a professional communicator, like, how do you see that as an exercise in trying to, I don't know, make it
Well,
sting just
I
enough?
think Alex Lawson is doing the type of, let's call it aggressive communications
Hmm.
that Jeff Leeper will not do,
Right.
and says he will not do. He says he
Hmm.
wants to run a quote unquote positive campaign, but
Right.
I make the distinction between, negative campaigning and dirty campaigning.
Hmm.
Okay, so there's a real difference between the two. So if I find information that could be critical or is critical of my opponent, theoretically that is a negative campaign. But
Hmm.
that's not dirty campaigning if that
Right.
information is accurate.
Hmm.
And it's completely legitimate for the public to be aware.
Hmm.
Now, there's a second element here, I think. There is the legalistic definition of lobbying, right? And there is the public's appetite and perception of a quote unquote cozy relationship
Hmm.
allegedly, between the mayor and the CEO of this strategic communications firm, a
Hmm.
CEO who happened to also have been part of his campaign team in 2022, right? And so you're right. We're going to see if this is a stretch, but that's up to the Integrity Commissioner, Karen Shepard.
Hmm.
And she has to first determine whether she will investigate. So that's the first level. And then pursue the investigation if yes.
Hmm.
And so she has to now make a determination, and presumably before October,
Yes.
on whether she feels that there is a case to investigate.
Mm.
And so,
Yeah.
anyways, that's
And,
where I'm going to leave it for now.
right.
So,
Yeah,
so
we
I
have to
am not going to
see.
criticize the Lawson campaign
Yeah.
for raising the issue
Well, no, of course not.
because I think we have already seen that Mark Sutcliffe as mayor has kind of edged up to the line, right?
Hmm.
On advertising. Now he is going to, he's pushed back on that. He said everything is within the rules, within policy, but there is within the rules and policy and public perceptions,
That's right.
right? And that I think, and that is completely legitimate. It's not dirty campaigning. It is putting relevant political information into the public domain and letting Ottawa's voters decide.
That's right. I don't think that this issue, as far as I could see from the Alex Lawson
Yeah,
campaign, is going to change people's minds. So people who were thinking already of voting for Mark Sutcliffe
yeah,
again, that won't make them
That
not
won't make
vote
them.
for him. But for people who are already kind of not sure where they were going, and then they don't like the smell or the
Yeah,
feeling that some people have a better access to the mayor than others,
yeah,
even if it's all legal, even if it's all within the
yeah,
rules, maybe we need to change the rules. Maybe that's things that maybe I don't like that, right? If
yeah.
it doesn't have to be criminal or illegal to
Doesn't
be
feel right.
wrong in the
Yeah.
in the minds of voters. So I think that yeah, the Lawson campaign I think did a I think it's a good idea to raise this again, assuming that all these facts that he laid out
So,
are true and accurate.
Brigitte, what we're seeing already early on is how the Lawson campaign is creating a clear contrast between
Hmm.
themselves and Mark Sutcliffe.
Yeah.
Now that's a sign of real pros, you know that, right? That
Right.
when you're
Yeah. No, I
driving
know.
that contrast, that's the sign. And I've been concerned from the beginning when Jeff Leeper announced his intention way back in July of last year that he has not been driving that contrast.
Hmm.
And so now having Lawson in the campaign since January, I guess, you can see a clear contrast. And that, Brigitte, is a real danger to Mark Sutcliffe's second term.
Hmm. Well, we'll have to come back and see what
Yeah,
happens from there. But I'll be interested to see what Jeff Leeper comes up with soon when it comes to infrastructure deficit. And because I was asking him about that not too long ago, and he says there's a plan coming for how to address that. But as of yet, we don't have the
we don't have
details.
that.
And the campaign, they promised me that they would let me know as soon as it's available. So I'll make sure that, I talk about it as well, because that
Absolutely.
is one of those sleeper issues. Is the stuff that's on the ground that we don't know about that's
Brigitte,
slowly frittering away, and it's going to blow up in our
it,
faces. I
it's,
wrote a
it,
book about this in
I,
2003, and it's
okay.
still right. I'm
It's,
still right.
it's, it's going to blow up in everyone's face because guess what the campaigns are going to be talking about at the doors? Community centers, pools, libraries, things
Yeah.
that are broken,
Yep.
not getting fixed,
Arenas, etc. Yep.
arenas.
Hmm.
That's the conversation at the doors.
Yes, because it affects
So
people's lives.
it directly affects people's lives, and I'm
Hmm.
sure we'll be hearing a lot about that in the
All right.
coming months.
All right. So we'll talk about it when we get to that. So it was great.
Absolutely.
This is the first video. We'll hope to do a bunch during the campaign and
Good.
see if people find any value in this. All right. So thanks very much, Evan. I'll talk
Thank
to you
you.
soon.
Look forward to
Okay.
our
Bye.
discussions. Bye bye.
Bye.